2. You're lucky.
Amazing. Now we're back here with our first keynote of the day. Super excited to have you on board, Kristina. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Ronnie. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of this event where we celebrate the Nordics and the Nordic Day.
I think it's really exciting. And we had a really good chat there last week, especially about how we could empower the youth here in the Nordic region, which we then stated that that's a subject that we actually need to talk more in detail about in the future. And I'm looking extremely forward to that. But I think before we move into these kind of questions, I'll let you start with your amazing session, and we'll get a bit more flesh around the bones, of which we are then able to start some amazing and interesting discussions. So Kristina, without further ado, the floor is yours. Let's start with your session, and then we'll continue soon with some Q&A.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. And again, thank you for arranging this event to celebrate the Nordics and the Nordic Day. And thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this. I will just share something here. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, technical issues. I will be trying to sharing the screen with you, so we can all see the same thing. It seems like we have an issue here, but I will do this without sharing the screen, no problem. As I see it, the world, of course, constantly we have a lot of issues and a lot of challenges here in the world, and a lot of the big challenges that we see at the moment, they demand international cooperation. And it's not just the corona situation that we are living through now that demand international cooperation to find solutions. It is also other challenges that we have been through before the corona situation. I could mention the climate change, the increasing inequality in the world, also the digitalization, which changes everything in our world, and also gives us challenges when it comes to, for example, cybersecurity. And we also see a constant threat against, for example, democracy and the rule of law. And when it comes to all these challenges, and I could add the virus challenge too, it is not enough for countries just to look at how can they themselves solve these issues. It needs international cooperation. And that's where the Nordic cooperation is very important for us in the Nordic region, but I believe also for the rest of the world, because even though we can do so much better here in the Nordic region and in the Nordic countries, we do have a lot of very, very good solutions, and especially through the Nordic cooperation, we become stronger and we can make the solutions even better, and for hopefully also inspire other countries and other international corporations around the world to find solutions to the big challenges that we face together in the world. I will come back to this with solving some of these challenges, but I would like to tell you a little bit about the Nordic cooperation. Why is it important for the Nordic region and also for the world? And also look a little bit into what is this year's presidency program for the Nordic Council. A little bit facts about the Nordic region. I used to say that I come from the Faroe Islands, which is a small country in the middle of the North Atlantic with 53,000 people. And the Faroe Islands is a small country, but actually, every Nordic country is small if you see it in an international perspective. But if we cooperate and if we stand together as a region, we are not small at all. The Nordic region total is about 27 million people. We have a huge you can say land mass and also sea area. We have a very well educated people and also are front runners on a lot of important issues. And we also have, for example, a welfare state and a very fair distribution of our wealth, to mention some of the characteristics. If we look into the Nordic cooperation, actually it is one of the oldest and also one of the most comprehensive international cooperations in the world. It actually started after the Second World War, where I think all the countries in the world realized how important it was to increase international cooperation, and especially for smaller countries, it was important. So back in 1952, the Nordic countries' parliaments decided to establish the Nordic Council, which is this interparliamentarian cooperation. And next year, we will celebrate 70 years since the Nordic Council was established. Later on, the Nordic countries also established the Nordic, for example, Culture Fund, and also the Nordic Council of Ministers, which is the governmental cooperation between the Nordic nations. And that was in 1971. So today, this year, we are celebrating that the Nordic Council of Ministers is 50 years. So it's kind of a milestone this year. The Nordic Council itself consists of parliamentarians from all the Nordic countries, a total of 87 parliamentarians. And they are, for example, discussing and accepting proposals on how to strengthen the Nordic cooperation on several areas. It can be everything from education to security and to border regulations, and then they put these proposals to the Nordic Council of Ministers or directly to the Nordic governments. And in that way, it has played a vital role in all these years in increasing the Nordic cooperation. The Nordic Council also focuses a lot on international cooperation, and for example, we have a close cooperation with the Baltic Assembly and also the Benelux parliamentarian cooperation, also the European Parliament, to mention some of our cooperation partners. I could also mention the West Nordic Council, and there was also cooperation, for example, with Russian parliamentarians. So we focus a lot on not only cooperation in the Nordic region, but also go further than that. You can say, what is the result? The result is actually that during all these almost 70 years the Nordic Council has existed, we have implemented a lot of good laws and also agreements between the Nordic government. Agreements and also laws that make it possible for people to study and to live and to travel and to work in all the Nordic countries without any problems and without paying and without, for example, tax problems and so on. So it is a huge benefit for people, and it makes everyday, you can say, everyday life easier for people. That is the purpose of it. But the Nordic cooperation also wants to go further, and we have the Nordic Council of Ministers has implemented this vision for 2030, where we want to become the most sustainable and integrated region in the world. And there are a lot of action points and a lot of projects to reach this goal in the coming years. And I want to talk a little bit about this becoming the most integrated region in the world. That has been a challenge due to COVID-19. But we are trying to look at it. I think we should look at it in a positive way anyway. We have a Faroese saying that says, "Ikke er så rikt at det er ikke godt for oss." It means nothing is as bad that it isn't good for something. And the good thing about this terrible corona situation, which has meant that also between the Nordic countries, it has, for example, borders have been closed for some time. It has opened the eyes of people who live in the region, of parliamentarians, of the governments, how incredibly important it is for the Nordic region to increase the cooperation and to do more of what we do. And we also see how important it is for our everyday lives, because we shouldn't take for granted that we can cross borders, we can study, we can work, and we can travel as we want without a passport. It's all because of this international cooperation, which started back with the Nordic Council. A little bit about the this year's presidency program. This year in 2021, it is the Kingdom of Denmark who has the presidency in the Nordic Council. The presidency, you can say, Nordic countries, they shift between to have the presidency, and this year it is the Danish Kingdom, and they have focused on 5 main issues this year that we are working on. First, of course, the corona situation has influenced the program. So the first point is to ensure that we learn something from this situation. So what can we learn from what's happened and how we acted during the COVID-19 situation? Secondly, it is the Nordic defense and contingency planning. How can we cooperate even more on these? Then it is the third one is the Nordic climate initiatives. To become the most sustainable region in the world, we also have to plan, and we have to work on these plans and implement important issues. So that is the third bullet of this year's program. And the fourth of 5 is Nordic youth, culture, and language. And we all know that the youth is our future. So it's very important for us to reach the youth in the Nordic cooperation, to both to make them to learn about how important the Nordic cooperation is, but also to get the youth to be active and to come with solutions, because on many of these important issues and challenges we face, the youth actually are the experts on these issues. For example, when it comes to climate change and green solution, when it comes to digitalization and which solutions to choose, it's so very important that we get the youth to be active in our cooperation and participate in the solutions. But also when it comes to, as I mentioned, the culture and language, those are so very important for our, you can say, identity. And if we didn't have this common both cultural and language history and background, we probably wouldn't have this Nordic cooperation. So to continue to strengthen this cooperation and to also to celebrate actually our culture. And we do that on this, for example, on these yearly Nordic awards, which is this big event, which also binds us together in a way and opens our eyes against the different very lively and interesting cultures in our Nordic countries. And the fifth point of this year's presidency program is tourism cooperation, because we have seen, as the rest of the world, that this corona situation has had extreme consequences for the tourism industry. So the presidency wants to focus on how can we, as a Nordic region, cooperate closer and also come marketing and so on, show the world more what we have to offer in these in the Nordic region. to go back to what I started with, these big challenges that the world actually faced also before this coronavirus. International cooperation is so vital because all these, you can say, challenges or threats, they don't know any borders. A virus doesn't know borders. Attacks on our IT systems, they don't know any borders. The planet's climate change and the need for green solutions, it doesn't make sense just to look at one country at a time. We have to cooperate, and also when it comes to other issues. So that's why I think that the Nordic cooperation, each Nordic country has unique solutions on so many areas, on green innovation, when it comes to digital solutions and other things. Imagine how strong we become if we cooperate, and because we cooperate and we share information. So we can do more of that. It already exists, you can say, through the Nordic Council and the Nordic Council of Ministers, when our Nordic ministers on all different areas meet regularly every year to share information and to strengthen each other. But we also know that we can do so much better, and we know that especially this corona situation has opened the eyes for the importance of that we actually to create safety in the Nordics and to create better solutions for our people. We need to have even stronger systems and planning, especially when we face threats who know no borders. We have to be better at that, and I think we will in the Nordic Council also focus on that in this year. We have arranged a couple of events during the year where we will focus a lot on strengthening the planning to secure, you can say, our contingency planning across borders, both when it comes to viruses, but also cyber attacks and other issues. So very important work ahead. And our hope is, of course, both to be able to, through the Nordic cooperation, to strengthen the Nordic region, but definitely also that the solution that we choose on all these areas, that they can also act as, you can say, a Nordic lighthouse in the world to show the way and to inspire other countries in the world to what kind of solutions you can choose to create more solidaric societies and better wealth distribution, to secure democracy and rule of law, to choose digital solutions who benefit the people, to have green growth and innovation, and to cooperate peacefully between nations. So with these words, I will say thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of this, and I wish you all a very, very happy Nordic Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristina. I think this introduction was just amazing. It gave us a bit of the essence to understand what is happening on the higher level of the Nordic cooperation. And I have one really interesting question for you. I would like to know how do you see kind of like the Nordics in the Faroe Islands? That's the place where I actually haven't yet visited of the Nordic places. How is the Nordic embodied in that place as you're home from there?
The Nordic cooperation has a very big place in the hearts of the Faroese people, and the Faroe Islands is also an active part in the Nordic Council, even though the Faroe Islands is not an independent member fully yet. The Faroe Islands, Greenland, and the Åland Islands have you can say another kind of membership in the Nordic Council, but they are wishing and pushing for full membership in the Nordic cooperation. In the Faroe Islands, we also have, for example, a Nordic House, which is established and also because of the Nordic cooperation. And for example, today they are also celebrating this Nordic Day and having a lot of events also with young people, young politicians and others who have visions for the Nordic cooperation. So I think it's very positive to see that a lot of young people also see the opportunity in the Nordic cooperation and want to strengthen it in the future. But more broadly speaking, as I mentioned, this importance of international cooperation for the smaller the country is, and you can say the Faroe Islands lies in the middle of the North Atlantic, the more important international cooperation is. So for the Faroe Islands, it's vital to have a strong cooperation in the Nordic region, but also abroad.
Amazing. I can't wait for the pandemic to blow away so we can again travel a bit and I get to see the part of the Nordics that I haven't yet experienced. So super excited about that. Then the one question I'm going to ask from all the speakers of today is that what is your favorite part about the Nordics? What is the one thing or one memory you would like to highlight regarding this region?
Yeah, I think maybe one of the most important thing in the Nordic region is Nordic, you can say, trust, that we trust in each other and we have trust in our governments and our systems, because that Nordic trust is an important and vital part to also create this cooperation and to sustain the cooperation and to get people to embrace solutions, for example, when it comes to digitalization or other things. If you don't have trust between people and in the governments and so on, it's no good. Another thing is that we always focus on in the Nordic countries as a whole that every child that is born has to have the same opportunity to embrace their full potential. This Nordic welfare state that ensures that everyone has right to free education, to help from the authorities if you need it. It hopefully makes it possible for everyone to embrace their dreams and to make it possible to do what they want with their lives. So I think make it in every individual count, combined with this trust between people and between countries is some of the important issues.
That's really amazing. And I want to touch upon one subject you told there, and this is kind of like this equal opportunity for everyone, and also the trust in both our leaders, but then also in each other. And this is something that many have tried also to export outside of the Nordic region. How do you think that we could take these models and implement them together with, for example, our young people in Africa or our young people in some other places? How could, for example, the Nordic Council support this kind of initiatives?
Yeah, it will of course be fantastic if we could export this, but it's not that easy to export. It's of course grounded in our culture and our history and our also in our democracy, you can say. So what we can do, we can of course tell our stories. We can tell the world, show the world how have we chosen to build our societies on, for example, with a welfare state where we have this wealth distribution, so ensure that everyone has the opportunity to create a good life, where we have democracy and we have a rule of law, so people can feel safe. Those are some of the very important parts of getting to this state where you can say that everyone has the same opportunities and trust in the system. And of course, the education system is very important also, that every child, every person has the opportunity to have an education, also a higher education, without having to be rich or having to loan a lot of money. That is also a vital thing. So I just hope that we can be better at, and you can say, you mentioned export, but also marketing all the extremely good things that we have in the Nordics, because it is not without reason that when you have these happiness indexes, that you see that all the Nordic countries, I think the newest one shows that Finland was on top, #1. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But actually all the Nordic countries are in the very, very top of that happiness index. And when it comes, if you take everything else away, it's all about living a happy life and creating societies and solutions that make people happy. So I think looking at that index should make it interesting for other nations. And then there we, of course, also have to hope that parliamentarians and governments in other countries choose to look at the solutions we have in the Nordic countries. And that's also one of the reasons that we in the Nordic Council focus much on international cooperation. And the Nordic Council of Ministers does so too. So hopefully we can be an inspiration.
Yeah, you have definitely been an inspiration. And we're looking forward to all the great things we're able to do during this year, now that the cooperation also between you and the Norders has been started, by having you join this amazing event today. So a big thank you to you, Kristina, for joining, and a happy Nordic Day to you as well.
Thank you.
So next up, we will continue with our first fireside session of today. The topic will be the role models at Center of Diversity, and it will be moderated by our co-founder, Joonas Kylliäinen, and we will have speakers such as Yasin Samb, a leader from Google, and the co-founders from Ata Agency, Wanda and Naomi Holopainen. This will be a super exciting session, so be sure to join in and see how we all can be the role models at the Center of Diversity in the modern era. See you in a bit.